this car. Audi managed to get an MOT about 2 weeks ago. It done really, really well actually. So that is now the daily. Been driving that around quite a bit. So now it means that we can start on this. As you can clearly see, I've already taken the front off here because today we're going to need the space because this little engine here is going to come out, and that's what you saw these boxes here for. One of them's an engine stand, and the other's a engine crane to lift this little tiny puny engine out, which we could probably just do ourselves, but the engine crane's a bit safer. So yeah, that's the plan today. A couple of the guys are coming around to help with this, as if I'm honest, I've never pulled an engine. But before everyone turns up, we'll get started on building this engine crane. There we are, just like magic. Engine crane's all built. Didn't want to film here, it was very boring. I didn't buy a leveller, so I was a bit cheeky and I bought tow rope. I mean, it says it's got a capacity of 3.5 tonne. I mean, that is while towing, but I'm sure it can lift alright. So, I mean, you just hook that on there. And then what I'll do with the other end is just wrap this around the engine a few times and then just put this bit back on. That should be alright. Yeah, I've also got an engine stand there as well. Nothing really interesting about that, but that will be what we transfer the engine from the crane onto there. This crane folds up quite nicely, so I can probably tuck it, somewhere out of view. But now all we've got to do is wait for the guys to turn up, and we can get cracking taking the engine out, which should be quite exciting. While we waited for the rest of the guys, we decided to remove everything connected to the engine and label it. Nothing super interesting here, so I don't film too much. So the next bit you'll see is the main event of actually removing the engine.
Go on then. You're on the crane.
Nice.
You're on the crane. We'll
push this down.
Right, are we lifting it?
Yeah. Well, you're lifting. We're basically.
You keep an eye on the back. Make sure we're on the back.
As
you keep
it's
lifting.
Well, it's being held in by that one right now, isn't it?
What are these shafts going back here?
Keep going.
That's gear linkage, isn't it?
Right, so it's not ready to go out yet.
Right, let's pop it down then. Right.
I can see.
Boys ready?
Looks pretty clear on this side. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. Go, go, go.
Yes, boy.
Yeah, to be fair, two of us could have lifted this out. It's not that heavy.
Yeah, it's not bad. It'll stop when we push the back before we get to it.
We can make that race
That's it.
Oh,
Jesus.
I should have extended the arm.
Right, I'll do it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, that wasn't actually that long.
Nice one.
Right, then we drop it down to the floor.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to.
Keep going. Stop. There you go.
Way. There we are. The engine is finally out. As you saw, it was a bit of a pain because this engine crane was a bit too low, so we actually had to lift it out. But luckily we managed to. Engine bay's all clear now, so I can chuck this on this engine stand I've got. So the next step will be to take the gearbox off, which is it's worth doing anyway because we'll probably do the clutch while the engine's out. It makes sense. And then we can get to start to, refurbing this engine, making it look nice and shiny, and then chucking it back in the car eventually. Yeah, that was actually went pretty well. Right, good morning. It's now the next day. Today's job. Now I'm back in on my own. Start working on this engine, I reckon, and then just continuing to tear bits off. Yesterday we managed to take the boot lid and some the back bumper and some trim out. Nothing really super interesting. Like I said, this is all the easy bit of just disassembling. But today's job is to chuck the engine on the engine crane. Problem I ran into yesterday is, so the bolts that were with it, they're long enough, but they're the wrong thread size for the block on the engine. So I didn't have any bolts long enough. But this morning, I managed to get the M8 bolts, which are the gearbox ones. I managed to get some proper long ones that should fit nicely through there, and then I should be able to bolt the block of the car onto the engine stand and get to work on the engine, I reckon. So. There we are, I've put the engine stand kind of in the place where I'm going to be keeping the engine for a little bit. I've had a change of plan. I think today we're just going to get just all the body panels as much as we can off the car. I still want to get that to a shell before we start working on the engine. So we're just going to be taking off, you know, all of the external stuff just to get to the block essentially. And I just want to clean it up and give it a good paint, make it nice and shiny again. For now, yeah, we'll get started on the doors, I reckon, and then take them off and chuck them somewhere because this is getting quite crowded in here now. But I'm sure I'll find a space. A lot more progress has been achieved today. You know, the interior is like fully ripped out now, essentially. It's just all the other bits, like the steering column needs to come out, and then the heat matrix and all the blower controls and everything like that. That'll be about all you'll see today. It was mostly just like tearing stuff apart, but yeah, other than that, that's the end of the bank holiday weekend, so plenty done. So I guess we'll be back next weekend just to continue tearing stuff apart. Now the interior is basically done. It'll be the engine bay, take everything out of there, and then we should be good to start preparing the body, the shell.